Hey, come on over, have some fun with Crazy Taxi!
If you have ever been inside an arcade in the last 23 years, you probably already know of Crazy Taxi. It was a loud machine going that was swarming with teens and children. Crazy Taxi is a realistic taxi simulator that is easy to learn but difficult to master. In case you're watching this in an era where taxis aren't real, they were like Fasten but worse. This fine example of culture has since been ported out of the arcade to home consoles, including the PC. I've actually already touched on Crazy Taxi before in my poor quality Starship Troopers video. That game still haunts me. Developer Strangelight got their start by porting several Sega/Hitmaker arcade games to the personal computing device. Strangelight then crashed and burned with Starship Troopers before being absorbed into Rebellion. Guess things have been working out with Sniper Elite at Rebellion Liverpool. Like many Sega-funded PC ports, Crazy Taxi has its issues, mainly with the controls. If you try to play with a controller, you are going to notice how wildly impossible it feels to control the taxi, and how some things like the Crazy Dash seem impossible when using triggers for acceleration. But at least you aren't trying to use a steering wheel, because then it'll just crash the desktop. Enter the silent patch by Cookie PL Monster. This fixes some control issues and the steering wheel crash. There are a surprising number of mods available for Crazy Taxi, but this one in particular feels necessary. Not like the mods to put KFC back into the game. Now, presentation is everything for a first impression, and while 90s as hell, Crazy Taxi works well within its limitations. Sure, there is pop-in, blurry textures, and paltry polygonal people, but there's also an inherent charm to it all. It's a look into the average Japanese person's idea of America in the 90s. Some things are just inherently silly, though I do think we should strive to be the America in these completely accurate Japanese children's books from the 1860s. While the graphics may be dated, the world depicted is surprisingly large and detailed. The map size alone is actually kind of astonishing for the era, not to mention the fact that there are no loading screens anywhere while playing. The general aesthetic holds up great because of how much attention to detail there was in the environment. Like, these billboards in the background actually have somewhat readable text on them instead of just being a smear like the U-Haul logos on these trucks. And I haven't mentioned the various taxis or character models. They didn't need to make this guy a punk, or this dude a priest, or this diver freeing Willy. But they did, and it rules. Just like the soundtrack, of which there are two versions, the original arcade and the one featured in the port. I'm assuming using licensed tracks by The Offspring and Bad Religion caused an issue somewhere in the home release. I mean, it's not like the Dreamcast had terrible copy protection or anything. That being said, I think Pivot and Too Rude have some great tracks despite sounding like the most generic pop punk. On the gameplay side of things, it's Crazy Taxi. Playing by arcade rules, you drive around like a madman trying to deliver your passengers within a strict time limit. The better you play, the longer you play. Easier said than done with your limited controls. The extent of them are steering, acceleration, brake, gear shift, and horn. The additional rules are varying set time limits for your play. But I mean, come on. Are you really gonna play Crazy Taxi for 10 whole minutes at a time? With two maps to play, arcade and original, there's more than enough variation for me. Original is a bit smaller than the classic arcade map, but feels more dense. Each playable cabbie has slightly different stats. Axel is the basic bitch of cabbies, doesn't stand out aside from being decent at everything. Beady Joe is where it's at with the highest top speed. Gina has the fastest acceleration and stop time due to the small size of her car. And Gus is a chunky boy. He's apparently best suited for advanced players due to the extra weight. Something about drifting. But the Crazy Box is where a majority of my game time was sunk for the process of this review. Crazy Box is a set of challenges where you need to learn to use every conceivable trick to succeed. There's a helpful website that explains the most basic ones. And you're gonna need it too because some of these challenges are ridiculous. I have not felt this kind of rage at a game in a long while, because I'm usually coming so close, but a slight mistake early on cost me that half second I needed to stop the car. And I'm that extra kind of salty where I restart exactly when I know there's no chance of winning. 3-1 can suck my dick and screw you for saying it's easy. It was the only non-S challenge I couldn't complete. I have almost an hour of footage of me failing it over and over and over again. My psyche has sustained minor damage from 3-1. Despite all my rage, the only real drawback to Crazy Taxi is how repetitive the gameplay can be at times. There isn't much variation in picking up a person and dropping them off. This isn't a huge complaint, just something I wanted to mention for the purpose of lengthening the script. Don't read this part out loud. No, but seriously, gameplay can be a bit mind-numbing. especially when constantly restarting for the Crazy Box challenges. Thankfully, the urge to get better scores is a powerful driving force. All in all, Crazy Taxi is a nostalgic recommendation for me. It is some fun, hectic gameplay that is more than meets the eye. Those Crazy Box challenges are no joke. Considering this, Crazy Taxi is a grand total of $7.99. I've easily spent more than that on Crazy Taxi in an arcade. But if you want more value for your money, just wait for the next Steam sale. It's like $2 then. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more garbage.